It's time for the Movin The Chains podcast. Your home for high school football coverage in the Palmetto State. Every team, every game, every week. And now your host, Kevin Thomas and Jerel Hendricks.
Welcome into Movin The Chains, brought to you by Founders Federal Credit Union. I'm Kevin Thomas alongside Jerel Hendricks. We've got a great interview today. A very special guest as part of our HTC Hometown Connection season preview series, and that's the head coach of the Andrews Yellow Jackets, Scott Durham. Coach, how you doing today?
Doing good. A little wet. Just got off the practice field, but
we appreciate your time. We appreciate your time. We really do. This is you guys' first time tuning in. Check us out on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, and more at Movin Chains. Website, movinchains.com. Podcast on Apple, Spotify, Google, and more. Coach Durham, we headed into his 12th season with the Yellow Jackets with an overall record of 79-40. They went 8-4 last season, finished second in the region before falling in the second round of the playoffs. Coach, for folks who maybe not be familiar with you or your program, let's start, talking about you a little bit. Your coaching career. How did you get started? Where did you come from? How did you get to be the head man now at Andrews?
Jeez, that's a long story. Been at it for a while. I grew up in Pickens, right outside of Clemson there, and I figured out once I figured out I wasn't going to play in the NFL. Figured out needed a profession. Always wanted to be around the game. Had a coach in high school, baseball coach. Actually, it was very influential on me. Kind of drove me into getting into coaching, and actually started coaching in college. Went to play football and baseball at Cumberland College in Kentucky. Ended up with a pretty bad back injury. Had to quit playing both and moved home. Went to Clemson. Started coaching right away. Coached a couple years at Pickens and then at Pendleton. And then first year teaching and coaching, I was at North Central down in Kershaw. Then went to Buford over in Lancaster. Had seven years between those two, and just knew I wanted to be a head coach one day, and wasn't going to get there from a 1A school. So started looking for bigger opportunities, and just happened to come across one of those deals that Goose Creek was advertising for assistant coaches, and growing up outside of Clemson and loving Clemson, I knew exactly who Chuck Reedy was and knew that was the place for me. So called him. Got hired and spent 9 great years there, and just after those first 6 or 7, started kind of looking around for an opportunity of my own, and just Andrews popped open kind of late in the year, actually right toward the end of May, and took a shot at it. Ended up getting hired and been here since.
Coach, you traverse the state here. I want to ask you about your experience in coaching. You spent a lot of time in the Low Country, but you're from the Upstate. What do you consider home at this point?
Well, I'll say this because and Clemson is home. It's the most home feeling place to me. I was up there, before the coaches clinic. I went up on Saturday, and there's a group of us. John Boggs, head coach at Blue Ridge, he and I grew up together and, played together in high school. So us, the two of us, and 5, 6 other people that we went to school with over the years, we all get together on that Saturday night in Clemson, and that's the place that feels like home, But I do enjoy the coast, and I really like. I actually live in Pawleys Island, so it's a pretty good gig down here too.
Well, Coach, looking at, this year's version of your team, did you have any change in the staff this year? Anybody bringing in, coming in new on board with you guys with the Yellow Jackets?
No, we've actually been pretty stable. In the 11 years that I've been here, I've only had 3 coaches leave.
Wow.
One to go into administration, one to go into guidance, and one to go into a different profession. So we've been pretty stable. We've had matter of fact, last year we had a new receivers coach last year, but he's back with us again. So I've got 3 guys that have been with me for all 11 years, and the 4th has been for 10. So we've been pretty stable and got a pretty good group of guys.
What about that community, Coach? Is kind of keeps that staff continuity and your program to where guys don't want to leave?
Well, I got lucky. I got several guys that are from the area, so they're not really looking to jump and go other places. And my offensive line coach, Jerel, was the head coach at Lake City at one point. He tells me all the time that I'm a pretty easy guy to work for compared to some of the guys he's worked for in the past. So, we do some unique things. We don't meet on the weekends as a staff, and we do everything from home with stuff like this and Google Forms and all that mess. There's no point in huddle. There's no point in everybody going and sitting down in one location when we can do everything from home. And we don't do a whole lot of meeting to meet. We do what we got to do and get our work done. So our coaches, they don't have to spend a ton of time at the school. And I mean, because everywhere I've been at other places, you feel like, not at Goose Creek, but before that, you just kind of feel like you're wasting time all the time. You're just sitting around meeting to meet, or putting on airs or whatever, making it look like you're doing something. You're not doing anything. So we try to be efficient with our time, and I think coaches like that. And I think their wives like that. And, that kind of keeps everybody happy.
Coach, for people who might not be familiar with you guys and your program, what do you all like to do kind of offensively and defensively, scheme-wise? And then do you call plays for either side of the ball as well? I believe you're a pretty big option guy, correct?
Yeah. We, options in my DNA and our DNA. And, it's actually kind of funny. I've been running the same offense for 20 years, 9 years at Goose Creek, 11 years here. And we're actually changing. We've been under center, I formation, triple option. You guys are probably not old enough to remember Clemson under Danny Ford, but that's what we've been running. And for the first time in 20 years, we don't have the fullbacks that we need to run that. So we're transitioning, and we're going to go more the Jamie Chadwell school of option from the gun. And so we've gone to that. But yeah, we're always going to be an option team. That's just, like I said, it's what we are. It's who we are. And so, we feel good about it. We really, we were hoping we were going to get on the field and see what it looks like against other people this week, but that's not going to happen now. But, we're kind of, we're excited about it. And defensively, we've been a 4-3 team for the last 11 years. We're actually transitioning to a 4-2-5, 4-4 hybrid, basically what we ran at Goose Creek the whole time I was there. And so it's going to be a little different for us. We're, schematically different on both sides of the ball. So this has actually probably been a really exciting off season, spring, summer, because we're doing a lot of new stuff, and it's kind of, I think, rejuvenated some of our coaches and gotten them fired up. And, because like I said, we've been doing the same stuff for so long. We'll see what happens, what it looks like on the field, but hopefully it's going to be okay.
But you mentioned it was exciting, making those tweaks offensively and defensively. We just wrapped up the offseason. You mentioned you just walked off the practice field. This offseason, did you get into any 7-on-7 stuff or any 11-on-11 while you made those tweaks to the offense and defense?
Yeah, we do some 7-on-7. We actually did 4. We Cane Bay down there in Somerville, they host some every Thursday in June, and anywhere from 8 to 12 schools come in. They've got 3 or 4 practice fields, so it's we can get a lot of work in down there. And so we do that. We don't throw it a ton, but it's good for us, good for our defense. Really, those guys needed to see some of that action. Haven't done any 11-on-11 yet. I'm just a little hesitant. I'm just afraid it's going to lead to a fight, especially with some of the schools around here that we would go against, and our kids and their kids. And I'm like, I don't want to, I'm just not. I don't know. I'm not ready for that yet. So maybe someday. But yeah, we did our usual 7-on-7 and did a lot of stuff with ourselves and just trying to get ourselves ready to go.
Coach, one of our goals here at Moving the Chains is to really promote some of the great players we have across our state. Who are some special guys you have that we should really be on the lookout for on Friday nights this fall?
Man, we've got a quarterback named Brandon Cumbie. This kid is everything you will ever want in a high school football player. He's tough, he's physical, he's fierce, competitive. He won't back down from anybody. Just a great kid. Great parents. I mean, there's a reason he turned out great. But I mean, he was all state as a sophomore at corner. He was all state as a junior as an athlete. He ran for 996 yards. We didn't, passing numbers don't look great from last year because he played the whole season with a torn labrum in his throwing shoulder. Just as tough a kid as you'll ever meet. And he reminds me, I tell everybody, that I know that I worked with back in the day in the Charleston area. He's Jaquan Marsh 2.0. Well, Jaquan Marsh was a kid that played quarterback for us at Goose Creek when we won the state championship. He was 40-6 as a starter. So this kid's just he's that kind of kid. He just makes us go. I'm old school and like spring when we put the pads on, we start practice with some kind of just full contact, Oklahoma W drill, something like that. He jumps in with the defensive lineman, offensive lineman. He doesn't care, and he whips all of them. And I can't say enough good things about this kid. He ended up last year in the playoff game. He got a concussion in the first round and couldn't play in the second round. We didn't have a chance without him. I ain't gonna say we would have won with him, but I think we could have gotten the game to the fourth quarter close. Hampton County was mighty good, but he's just an unbelievable player, and he's not huge. He's about 5'11", 175 pounds, and he's getting some recruiting interest as a DB, a slot receiver, something like. He's not a quarterback in college, obviously, but for us, he's perfect. And so he's our guy, and then we've got some other great players too. Some younger guys, not younger, but juniors. We've got a 6'3", 315-pound offensive lineman named Davion McNair that's drawing some interest from some of the Group of 5 schools, and he plays basketball, so he's obviously pretty athletic kid. And then we've got some other guys that are drawing some D2 interest, but they got a tailback, AJ Lee, that's a junior, ran for 1,300 yards last year. So we've got some really good players. We don't win 8 games because we don't have good players. I mean, it's and then it's tough for our guys to get a lot of attention. We're kind of everybody thinks we're between Myrtle Beach and Charleston. We are, but we're an hour from both of them, and so we don't get any kind of media coverage at all, hardly. So it's hard for our kids to get a whole lot of exposure.
Coach, you mentioned the weather. Unfortunately, we were recording this as Debbie's making her way up the coast. What kind of challenges that present for you, especially as you're in the meat of preparing, a fall camp and going into the season?
Yeah, it's tough. Actually for us, we're lucky. We don't have a game week 0. Mm-hmm. So, we're going to be okay. But, we got canceled today, school canceled for the next 3 days. So, at the earliest we're going to be back is Friday. So we can't scrimmage Thursday. We can't scrimmage Monday. So we're going to hopefully get back Friday, get some practice in next week, and go to a jamboree and have to play a 5A school next Friday. And it's going to be the first time we've been on the field against somebody else. And then again, luckily we don't, like I said, we don't have a week 0 game. We are going to be able to scrimmage St. James week 0. We were supposed to scrimmage them on Thursday along with Socastee and Johnsonville, but since they don't have that week 0 game, so we're going to be able to at least get that in and get a little bit of work, ahead of our opener. But I was talking to another coach this afternoon, and that's a tough, you're cramming a lot of work. You're talking about losing 3 or 4 days and you only got 3 weeks to get ready for a game. That's tough, man. That's going to be hard to do.
Coach, a lot of times at the lower levels, the 1 and 2A, even 3A, really, they say that the talent kind of comes in cycles. It feels like a lot of times, teams that have 3 or 4 really good years and kind of fall off a bit. With you guys there at Andrews, though, I think you've had, one losing season the whole time you've been there. Is that more about, just the great community that you guys have, which is tons of athletes, or is it more of a style type thing? Or, I guess, how do you kind of marry those two together to really explain your success without having a whole lot of downtime there, even at a lower level?
Yeah, I mean, we've been fortunate. We've had a lot of good players and good athletes. We've never had a bunch of superstar types, that draw a lot of college interest, but we've had a lot of really good players. And I think obviously schematically, what we've done has helped a lot because a lot of people don't have any, coaches, especially younger guys. They don't know how to defend what we're doing. They just they don't understand option football because it's not a thing anymore. So, I think, and then just I think the consistency of our program and not having a bunch of coaching turnover and we're kind of lucky. Our campus, we essentially have the elementary school, middle school, and high school all on one campus. So we have pretty good access to our middle school kids, so we can get them involved early and try to retain them and that sort of thing. And the community's been great about, just being supportive and like just obviously having some good players, and we haven't lost a lot of kids to transfers and that sort of thing over the years. It seems to afflict some of these schools as well.
Coach, we're in a reclass year. Every 2 years we do this with the high school league, and you guys are going to Region 6 and 2A, with some new teams there. You have some unfamiliarity there with some new opponents. You mentioned it, it's probably going to be more stress on them preparing for y'all than vice versa. But what excitement does that bring to, your coaches and your program, knowing that you're going to be able to strap it up against some teams that you haven't faced before?
Well, we're going in there, Philip Simmons, we've played them each of the last 2 years. We were in the region with Timberland my first 3 years here, I believe. We played Woodland in the playoffs before. So, we've got some familiarity. Honestly, the best part of it, but to me, is not have to go, to some of these stadiums that we've been having to go to the last few years that are just some of these places need to be torn down and they need to start over. We're going to be going into places with a lot better facilities. I was telling my wife that my son is on our team, but he also plays basketball and baseball. When we have to go to those basketball and baseball games, there are going to be a lot better eating options down toward Charleston than when you're coming home from Latta, Marion and Mullins, and the only thing you can get is Zaxby's.
Oh, yeah.
But I don't know. Like I was telling we were depending on where we play, end up having to play Academic Magnet. We're going to play 9 out of 10 games on turf this year.
Wow.
So obviously we're dealing with better facilities. Travel's about the same. I think we're in a much more competitive region in terms of depth. The last few years, what we've been, Marion's been really good. It's kind of just been Marion and us, and everybody else has just kind of been playing for third. But this one's going to be pretty competitive, and it's going to be a fight to, just to get in the playoffs.
At HTC, we're here to keep you connected. Here to provide reliable fiber optic internet with free, fast, and secure HTC Smart Wi-Fi. HTC, here to connect.
Ready to find your home field advantage? At Founders Federal Credit Union, we offer competitive rates to tackle buying a dream home with ease. Our team will coach you through every step. Plus, we never charge private mortgage insurance. Don't fumble your chance at home ownership. Start your journey with Founders. Visit foundersfcu.com/mortgage today. Terms and conditions apply. Member qualification required. Equal housing lender. Institution NMLS. Identifier number 41064.
Coach, got a couple easier ones for you here before I let you go tonight. So I know that you're a Clemson alum, just like Jerel and I. So how do you feel about the Tigers this upcoming season? Are you excited for that Georgia game there in Week 1?
Yeah, man. I my wife gets mad at me because I can't, I refuse to do anything on Saturdays because, hey man, that's kind of I don't play much golf. I don't fish. I don't hunt. I watch college football. That's what I do. And especially Clemson football. I tell you, there's only 12 a year, and I ain't missing one of them. So,
Amen.
I'm excited about it. I really, spent some time up there in the spring. Really think they're going to be. Obviously, I think they're going to be really good on defense. I think they're going to be much improved on offense, especially at receiver and up front. I got to spend about 3 or 4 hours with Matt Luke, and that dude's sharp. Kind of reminds me of the first time I got to meet Chad Morris when he came in. I knew things were going to get a whole lot better in a hurry. And so I'm looking forward to it, no doubt. I wish they were opening with somebody other than Georgia. But it is what it is.
Coach, I appreciate your positivity there. I've been down on the Tigers the last couple of years, so that makes me feel a little bit better. So good to know you got some insider info there. But the question I have for you, Kevin and I are big foodies as well. I got to say, I actually hunt down in Andrews once a year in that area. So if I'm coming down there to hunt, or if we're coming to a football game, me and Kevin need to grab something to eat. We're not in Latta or, Marion, where we got to just go to the Zaxby's. Where should I get some good food down there?
Yeah. Well, there's not a whole lot of options. We're actually getting a new Mexican place is about
there we go.
But so that's always a plus. You got to go to the Seaboard Diner. Out on Lanes Highway there, just right outside of about a mile and a half from the school. That's your go-to place.
I guess so. Okay, I'll give you this. Pawleys Island, since you're up that area, where should we go there? Might go on vacation. Might take the wife.
Now there's more up here and more up this way. You gotta slide. It's hard to find. This place called Pawleys Island Tavern.
Okay.
It's kind of tucked away behind some of those little frou-frou shops, right there on 17. Just look for the big bright yellow mailbox with Pitt on it, and just follow the dirt road back in there. You'll thank me later.
Yes, sir.
Well, perfect. Well, last one here for you, Coach. We'll let you go. What are some goals you guys have set for this 2024 season for the Andrews Yellow Jackets?
We talked all off season, about just taking that next step, just let's go from being good to great. We've been good for a long time. Let's figure out a way to be great, to go. We feel like we've got a great group of kids. We've got, we've only going to have 7 seniors this year. But we've got, a lot of guys back that have played a lot of football. Let's figure out a way to just, go be great. And of course our I don't know what you call our goal all the time. We just talk about, we don't ever talk about results and all that. For the most part, we just talk about trying to be better today than we were yesterday, and be better tomorrow than we were today. And that's kind of, we always just harp on them. If everybody gets a little bit better every day, all the wins and losses and all that stuff will take care of itself. So, we don't like to get into specifics. We just want to try to get better as the year goes on. And if we're lucky enough to stay healthy, then hope we can get into the playoffs and do some damage.
This has been great. I want everyone to go check out Coach Durham and the Yellow Jackets program on Twitter and Facebook. They do a great job posting updates on their kids and their programs. Definitely follow them on there. Like I mentioned, follow us on Facebook, Twitter/X, Instagram, YouTube, and more at Movin Chains. Podcast on Apple, Spotify, Google, and more. MovinChains.com. Movin The Chains brought to you by Founders Federal Credit Union. This has been part of our HTC Hometown Connection series. Jerel, any else for Coach? Let him go today.
Coach Durham.
No, man, just appreciate you guys having me on. Appreciate all you guys do for high school football.
Most definitely. Thanks, Coach. And we really appreciate your time tonight. We wish you continued success. You guys have been a model of consistency. Stay healthy, stay safe, especially with this, storm rolling through down there. And hopefully we'll be able to catch you on the sidelines. If not, we can catch you up in God's country, at a football game.
Absolutely. Appreciate it, guys.
Appreciate your time, Coach. Look forward to getting down to a game of practice, getting to meet you in person, and best of luck this season, all right?
All right. Thank you.
Get ready for the ultimate South Carolina high school football experience with Movin The Chains. From previews to recaps, we've got you covered. Dive into our expert preview shows, predicting winners and sharing insights. Then join us post-game for the thrilling recaps, exclusive interviews, and highlights you won't find anywhere else. Plus, connect with fellow fans on our Friday night spaces on Twitter/X. No one covers South Carolina high school football like us. Join us at Movin Chains on all social media platforms and visit movinchains.com today.